You're now enrolled in the School of BlackNegroJItsu. Is it your first day? Don't worry, the master, Leroy Stephan, and his co-instructors Dave, Mike, and Kyle will take it easy on you, rookie. Enroll in the School of BlackNegroJItsu right now. It's free. All you have to do. There's no hidden costs, no hidden fees. Hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you're on. iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play. Hit subscribe, get enrolled, and you'll get completely free access to all of our classes. That's the School of BlackNegroJItsu. That's our main mixed martial arts class. Then we also have our two fantasy classes, the MMA Edge Fantasy Podcast and Black Market Picks. And we also have other offerings at the school, interviews, other random things. Enroll now. It's free, guys. Welcome to the School of BlackNegroJItsu Class 21. I'm your host, the Master of BlackNegroJItsu, Leroy Stephan. And today I'm joined, of course, by my main co-instructor at the school, Dave Mark. Dave Mark, what's good?
Same old shit, Leroy. Just excited to be back on another podcast and recording for all our students out there. All our white belts out there trying to level up.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Of course, if you haven't enrolled already, enroll. It's free. But let's get right into a quick rundown of everything that's going to be on the show today. We've got our expert medical consultant, Dr. Yared Vasquez, on to talk about his new product, the Cryoshield. If you don't know what the Cryoshield is, search for it on YouTube, Facebook. We're gonna have links in the description. It's an awesome new product that I think is going to revolutionize some things in sports, the way that ice is applied to athletes or even just regular people in hospitals, man. This is one of them. This is a great idea. He's the inventor of that. And then also, we're going to talk about transgender fighters. Transgender wrestler Mack just won the state championship down in Texas. And we're going to talk about the scientific realities of transgender fighters, not only Biggs, but Fallon Fox. How much of an advantage do they have when they make the switch and the science behind all of that stuff? We're going to discuss all that. Me and Dave are going to discuss that topic a bit as well. But let's just run down some things real quick. Let's do UFC 222 since that was just last night. Let's start from the top. Cyborg beat Yana Kunitskaya quickly down in the first round. Who's shocked by that? Nobody. Yana Kunitskaya, she got a takedown. I mean, it was a good fight for what it was. It was back and forth for all 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Let's go to the next fight here. We got Brian Ortega up against Frankie Edgar. Brian Ortega vanishes Frankie Edgar in the first round with punches. I'm absolutely shocked by that. Frankie Edgar had never been finished before, and he was just absolutely destroyed. But in the first frame, that was it was unbelievable, to be honest, man. Brian Ortega I think Brian Ortega is your next champion, man. Mama had a dream. I hate to go against the blessed one, but unless Max Holloway is maybe fighting in Hawaii or something like that, it's Brian Ortega all day for me. I think he's your next champ. Dave, what do you think of that knockout?
I think it was absurd. I actually didn't get to watch the fights, but watching some of the clips on Twitter and watching some of the pictures that I assume are going to become memes, it was like it looked like the skin on Frankie's face shifted. He definitely got lifted off his feet with that uppercut. That elbow prior to that uppercut was absurd. Who knows what would have happened if Frankie could have lasted 14 more seconds, but Ortega was clearly the bigger guy. Ortega continues to impress. I would say he's got that kind of championship caliber in the sense that he's obviously a very good jiu-jitsu player, has some decent striking. His striking continues to improve, but I think the thing that makes him championship level fighter is he seems to face adversity a decent amount in some fights, and he comes back and he just he just finishes fights. Like from what I was hearing, I didn't see the fight, but what I was hearing is Frankie was doing a good job with his stand up in the first frame and towards the end of the round. It was that I guess that head kick, and then followed by the elbow, and then the uppercut that just starched Frankie. But this guy just finds a way to win. I would say he's pretty good all around. He's obviously got great jiu-jitsu, and that's going to be a great fight when him and Max Holloway meet. I think there's definitely going to be some fireworks in that fight.
Yeah, man, Brian Ortega, mama had a dream. I'm riding that dream to the title. I think he's the next champion. BlackNegroJItsu School, BlackNegroJItsu alumni, Sugar Sean O'Malley, with a very impressive win versus Andre Sukumtai. Pretty gangster that he broke his foot or whatever and had to receive the win while his leg was being stabilized on the ground.
Sorry to interrupt. I heard that the X-rays actually came back negative. I don't think there's any break or anything of that sort. I think I saw a Big Marley tweet today that the X-rays came back negative.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what was he in so much pain for? Maybe it's a tissue injury or something like that. I don't know. But Sugar Sean was in all kinds of pain, and yeah, another legendary moment for Sugar. He's one of the best things the UFC has going. They should really bring him along slowly. They got a superstar on their hands. It was a tough matchup against a very tough fighter, and he looked awesome. That's the worst Andre Sukumtai has ever been beat before. Usually he always goes to close split decisions. O'Malley just picked him apart though, man. Sugar Sean is the future, man. Take care of that. That is something that you can ride to the top. Let's go on to our next fight here. We got Andrei Arlovski going up against Skyscraper Stefan Struve. Very strange fight, I guess, because Struve kept pulling guard. That was the strategy. It actually started to work in the second round. I think he had a heel hook there. He didn't go for it, but he had it if he wanted it. He decided to get top position instead. I don't understand sometimes. MMA fighters have these wonderful submissions in these positions for jiu-jitsu, and then they don't take advantage of them. For as far as submissions or sweeps, I guess they're not pure jiu-jitsu players, but whatever. Weird fight, but I understood the concept. Struve wanted to get it to the ground, and he thought he'd have an advantage off his back because that's the best part of his game. Andrei Arlovski just kept taking him down because he knew that's where Struve would like to be. Ugly, but whatever. Ketlin Vieira kind of beats the piss out of Kat Zingano. She hurt her leg during the fight. Kat Zingano never stopped fighting. She just came back, kept fighting. Man, that's a tough motherfucker right there, man. I don't know. Kat Zingano she just fights to the death, man. It's ridiculous. Her husband committed suicide. She came back from that. She just never quits, man. Never gives up. Got a lot of heart. That was an awesome fight, not because it was necessarily the skill being displayed, just because Kat Zingano just going for it. You'd never say Kat Zingano quit in a fight, man. Now Ketlin Vieira with another impressive win, though. Next fight up, we have Mackenzie Dern taking on Ashley Yoder. Mackenzie Dern is good at 1/4 of mixed martial arts. That's on the ground. The rest of it, she sucks pretty much right now. Not sucks, but she's developing. Her striking looks better and better with each passing day, but she needs a couple years before she's going to be able to compete at this level, because at this point, her wrestling's not there. She's not there in the clinch. She's not there anywhere but on the ground. But how does she get it to the ground? So against the top 10 to 15 girls in the world, she probably gets starched unless it gets to the ground somehow, and then she has an advantage. But Ashley Yoder, if she doesn't get taken down in the third round, I think she might win that fight. So they need to be more careful with Mackenzie Dern and her promotion, because she's just not ready for this level of competition yet. She's got a bright future, very good looking. Ashley Yoder, by the way, looked like the better looking fighter at weigh-ins. Why aren't they promoting her? What's going on with that? I think she might be sexier than Mackenzie Dern. And she's tough, and you see it was a close fight. It's like the same thing almost. I guess she didn't have as many accomplishments. What do you think, Dave? Who's hotter, Ashley Yoder or Mackenzie Dern?
I mean, personally, I think they're fairly close. I don't think that either one's like. I don't think either one's really a knockout. I think they're MMA hot. I mean, they're pretty girls. Don't get me wrong, but they're not like, I think in comparison to, so like a girl that you would see in the streets of New York City or somewhere else. I think that they're just like an average looking women. I just think that our buddy Dana White has kind of the flavor of the month right now. He's kind of got. There's a little bit of hype behind, I think, Mackenzie Dern because of all her accomplishments in jiu-jitsu and what she was doing in Invicta. So I think he's trying to ride that wave and he's trying to turn her into the next kind of Ronda Rousey or the next coming of Paige Van Zandt. I think we're going to see more Paige Van Zandt than we are going to see Ronda Rousey, where I'm in total agreement with you. I think once she faces a top 15 or a top 10 fighter, if they move her along too quickly, she's going to get beaten down and exposed.
Yeah, makes Ronda Rousey's run that much more impressive because we never saw Ronda Rousey get exposed by anybody but world-class, like, strikers. She was I mean, she knocked girls out. Mackenzie Dern's striking is looking better, but Ronda Rousey's accomplishments as a world class grappler have to be that much more significant. Because look at these other world class grapplers. Before let me finish this topic too. Ashley Yoder, yeah, she's just as good looking as Mackenzie Dern. They should be developing all these girls as individual entities. That should have been a big fight. They should have put that on big. It'd have been very marketable. Two good looking women fighting it out. They got to do that better. They got a lot of hot commodities here, and they're not. I don't know. You didn't even know Mackenzie Dern was fighting this weekend. That's a shame. That should have been a big deal. Let's go on to the next fight though. But I'm talking about top level grapplers getting exposed. WTF with Beneil Dariush? What the fuck? Like, what happened there? I don't know. Apparently Hernandez faked the glove touch, kicked him in the stomach. Then he proceeded to whip his ass, just punch him and beat on him, and it was over. That's the most shocking. It's the most shocking. One of the most shocking upsets that I can remember in recent memory. Maybe Dariush's chin is gone after getting dropped by Edson Barboza. What do you think of Dariush's future, man? This is it's bizarre. It's a fighter that I didn't think held a candle to him.
So I don't know much about Hernandez. I will tell you that after listening to a few other pods and prepping for DraftKings and Toutmaster, I did have Hernandez in Toutmaster, and I did have some Hernandez exposure in DraftKings, and that's just all due to the fact that I think Dariush is another guy who I don't want to say I don't want to say he's talked up. Or like overhyped or anything of that sort. I want to say that I think he's the type of guy who finds ways to lose fights, like that Barboza fight. I think that Barboza fight was a fight that he was close to winning, or he was probably ahead on the scorecards. It was very close.
Barboza though, man. There's no shit in that.
He shot. I think he shot on a single or a double where Barboza caught him with a knee and just killed him. And I don't disagree. Barboza is Barboza. There definitely isn't shame in losing to him, but I just feel like Dariush is always and just give me a second. I just want to pull it up on like Tapology or Shirt Dog, but I feel like there's just something about Dariush that in this fight, even without knowing much about Hernandez, there was just something about Dariush where I just wasn't feeling him in this fight. I didn't know he was gonna get starched like that, but I definitely thought that there might be a shot that this kid might be able to beat him. 14. Hold on, I'm just looking up his record. I know he's 14-4-1. Where is this? He had that draw against Evan Dunham. Obviously that TKO KO knee by Barboza. Yes, I mean he's definitely lost to some. This is another one. He lost to Ramsey Najim back in the day, back in 2014. I just feel like he's never really beaten anybody of note. Beat Jim Miller by decision. I guess Michael Johnson by decision. He did beat which is crazy. He did beat James Vick by KO. But I think that was before James Vick was really James Vick. And I guess that win against Rashid Magomedov. But outside of that, outside of those 2-3 signature wins, there's nothing like impressive about his resume, in my opinion, at least. And I just think that he just was an overrated fighter going into this. And I didn't think he was going to get starched like that quickly. But I just there's something about him where I just feel like he's like one of those guys that time and time again is one of those guys you when you pick him, it comes to bite you in the ass. And then when you pick against him, it comes to bite you in the ass. It's like one of those guys that you can never gauge their fights correctly. But I wasn't feeling Dariush in this fight, and I'm not going to say I was totally surprised about him. I'm going to say I'm surprised in the manner in which he lost, but definitely not surprised about him losing.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised, man. I didn't see that coming, especially after he was outstriking Edson Barboza to get absolutely destroyed by this. No offense to Alexander Hernandez, but who is Alexander Hernandez in comparison to previous competitors? Pedro Munoz John Dodson defeats Pedro Munoz in a very uneventful fight. The curse of Hector Lombard is real. He knocks CB Dalloway out, but loses because it was the second after the bell. I don't know, man. When you're exchanging like that, I think the ref has to get in there and kind of get in the middle of the two fighters, or else I don't know, man. I mean, I didn't think it was that egregious of a foul. CB Dalloway kicked him, and he 1-2'd him. Can you even hear the bell when you're exchanging with somebody like that? I mean, do you just stop yourself in the middle of a punch, or I don't know. Very strange. This is like the Drew Dober zone with Hector Lombard. Always something strange. So once again, he knocks somebody out and loses the fight. Very weird. Zach Otto blasts Mike Powell into retirement. I was hoping that Mike Powell could come out and maybe get a voluminous upset or something like that. No, he was beaten down, one punch KO'd as usual. I got to start picking against washed up fighters more. Cody Stamann with an impressive win over Brian Caraway. Rough early, but he shocked me. I thought Caraway was going to get him on the map, but he adjusted well after the first round. And then Jordan Johnson, I thought Adam Wilstead won that fight. He was landing the harder punches. Jordan Johnson was just laying on him and stuff like that. And but I thought Milstead won, man. He got all the best punishment. But the judges gave it 2-1 Jordan Johnson in a very ugly fight. Milstead was the only one landing big damage. So, I don't know. Judges are strange people. That was UFC 222. I don't think a lot of people ordered it probably. That probably should have been like a UFC on Fox card. They shouldn't have ran that as a pay-per-view. I bet they might have lost some money on it or something. I don't know. I can't say. Let's get on with some news blurbs here, man. Let's talk about some news that's been going on in the mixed martial arts world. Of course, if you missed it, Miesha Tate and John Jones got into it over Twitter over the past week. Miesha Tate talking about she's done with John Jones. She's sick of him. He's got too many chances, and he's ruined them. John Jones responded about negativity and not responding. Miesha Tate shot back. Man, I think people are being too hard on John Jones because he's black. I mean, he hadn't done anything really that egregious. He took some dick pills, and this last positive test is mysterious, but is it real? I mean, did he actually do anything wrong? Because Frank Mir, remember, he tested positive for Turnerball 2 mysteriously as well. So maybe if there's something that people are eating or ingesting that's making them piss positive for Turnerball, I don't know. Because it happened to Frank Mir for the same drug, I think, as well. So, I don't know, man. Why is everybody so hard on John Jones, man? What did he do wrong? Did he murder somebody or did he kill somebody? What's so egregious about John Jones' errors, Dave?
I think, so one, I definitely think it's the curse of being African-American and successful. I think it's just the way society is. I feel like there's always a target on somebody's back when they are black and they are successful. I think on top of that, right, I think it's also in combination with that. I think it's also the fact that he's just fucked up the many chances he's had. The guy's absolute stud in the ring. One of the best pound for pound fighters to ever grace the octagon. But it's just like time and time again, he just seems to kind of fold under the pressure of the stardom. Whether it be the hit and run that he was involved in.
That was pretty bad. That was pretty egregious.
So I think
that
he
was
kind of
bizarre. I say that that was bizarre, but everything else has been pretty harmless.
And I haven't had a chance to watch the hearing. I don't know if you watched Laura. I was watching some of the Twitter recap, and I think there's some egregious, like, he was saying that the certain documents were forged. It wasn't.
Now that was bizarre too. So it's getting bizarre kind of recently, like in moments. Like the hit and run was definitely bad, and that hearing was like he's somebody forged documents and shit. That couldn't help him out. I mean, I don't understand it. Why would you say something like that?
Yeah, so that I think it's that. I think people are just getting sick of the egregiousness around some of the stuff, right? Like, I mean, whether I'm sure it was because they reinstated him, right? But like the dick pills and like everything, it's just like is these asinine things that he keeps getting popped for, right? It's just like I think people just want a cookie cutter, clean cut version, like a champ that's not a champ, right? It's like adversity, yeah, and you would know this from watching WWE. It's like a heel is a sell, right? Like people like the bad guy. For a company perspective, like you like the guy getting heat, and it seems like John Jones embraces that because he's just. I mean, listen, he's a young black man who's very successful, who's getting money, right? Like, if I was a champion caliber athlete, especially in like my 20s and my age, maybe not now because I'm about to be a married man, but when I was a single man, like, if I was a champion in the UFC and I was getting ridiculous amounts of money, I'm sure I'd be driving a fast sports car and getting in loads of trouble and being out and partying in Vegas. So it's just kind of the curse or the pressures that come with being a champion. And I think that just people just don't like to I don't know. I just don't think that people want this, seem to always want this very like, kind of vanilla type of champion, no pun intended, but like vanilla type of champion where they're very cookie cutter and they're very presentable, right? But sometimes you have to whatever got you got to go to with whatever got you to the dance. And I think it was like somebody was telling me something, not telling me. I think I heard on a podcast.
John Jones before he ever did anything wrong. If you go watch his old fights, he was getting booed as he came into the ring now.
Yeah. And what I was about to say is you got to go with what got you to dance, right? Like this is a sport that none of us can really fathom, right? You're going out there and every time you're legitimately and literally putting your life on the line. Like one punch can end your life. And it's just like you got to go with what got you to dance. And if it's a certain type of crazy, whether it's like that partying atmosphere and that's how you got to loosen up for the fight, that's what you got to do. Like I think it was a Joe Rogan podcast or somewhere. Someone was talking about Chris Lieben back when Chris Lieben used to fight. I think it was Chris Lieben. And they would be like, before fights and stuff, he would be out partying and like he'd just be shit faced, and that's just because that's the type of wild man he was, and like that's what relieved the pressure of him stepping in the octagon. So I think maybe some of that is just is John Jones just being himself and doing whatever alleviates that pressure. Him just being in the spotlight and being a fighter and putting your life on the line, right? Because a lot of these guys have said like if you're not scared before you're going out for your fight, you're not telling the truth. So. He's a wild man fighting in a wild sport. I think before, and I've said it on the pod before I was kind of like, I was like, I don't know if this guy should get another shot or whatever, but like, I think I want to see him fight. Like he brings a certain dynamic to the light heavyweight division. He's a great fighter, and as egregious as a lot of this shit is with the hit and run and the fucking forgery and the dick pills, like I want him to fight, and I hope he can stay out of trouble. And I'm hoping for positivity, but he just seems to get into it with a lot of people. But that's just John Jones, and I guess I've come to live with that.
Speaking of Mackenzie Dern, what's up with this accent? What's the deal with that? Is it because she's spending so much time in Brazil, or is she actually trying to market herself as a real, pure Brazilian?
I don't know, and I posted that on your wall because I was listening to Half the Battle, and they were talking about that video, and that I think is just hysterical how she went from this really like Arizona white girl who's like, yeah, I'm doing jujitsu, to like doing jujitsu, and I think it's just I don't know what it is. I'm just surprised more people don't call her out on it. Like, I don't know if it's got to do with her actually spending time in Brazil, or it's just her. Like, I can't call it. But you saw that video I posted on your wall. It's just, it went from like this really really like, oh yeah, I'm working on my jiu-jitsu, to really like hardcore Brazilian accent. So
I don't know, man. I mean, women tend to be very devious about their age or a lot of things about who they actually are, and this could be one of the more bizarre tales of deviousness on the part of misrepresentation of who you really are. As who has ever changed their accent in the midst of their fame? You know what I'm saying?
I would love for her to do pre-fight in her like Arizona accent, like that the first one we heard, and like post-fight in the Brazilian accent. I love for her to just turn it on and off from time to time. But I don't know, man. It's a real mind fuck that she had like this like really white girl type of accent to now the really Brazilian accent. So yeah, it's pretty bizarre. I guess a Brazilian accent is more sexy and exotic, I assume. But don't a lot of is that a stereotype? You know what? I was talking to I'm thinking, why am I thinking a lot of Brazilian women tend to be trannies, or do they be hermaphrodites a lot of times? Do they have a problem with that in Brazil? I think there legitimately is an issue with that in Brazil. I think there's a lot of transgender in Brazil. I could be wrong.
No, there is, because they're not. We talk about this later. Me and Dr. Yared Vasquez were talking about it, but I'm talking about hermaphrodites. Though I know it's a lot of trannies because they're not governed by the American Medical Association, so they have a lot of transgender surgeries down there. But I think that's hermaphrodite country too. So why would you want one of those accents, man? You might start thinking Mackenzie Dern is a hermaphrodite.
I don't know. I think it's her selling that whole like jiu-jitsu thing, like, because she's. I mean, I think it's just like I don't think it's spending time in Brazil. I just think it's legit like her just trying to. I mean, you know how like jiu-jitsu is, where I feel like there's Brazilians in jiu-jitsu and there's just everyone else. And I feel like the Brazilians have like a certain, I don't want to say like code, but there's like a certain set of rules that they are. And I feel like they're very, I don't know, like, I feel like not straight and narrow, but there's kind of like this kind of code that they abide by in jiu-jitsu that, other like jiu-jitsu practitioners don't. So I don't know. I think it's just like it's her just like trying to embrace that Brazilian aspect of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I think it just whatever it is, I think she just stuck with it. Because in my opinion, I feel like jiu-jitsu is kind of segregated. I feel like it's the Brazilians and then like anybody else.
Well, you know what? Especially when they come to these white countries, though, you got to remember they pretty much are black people. That's the biggest slave colony in the world. Or when you had the transatlantic slave trade. So the Brazilians, I don't think they like the gringos too much, but they do like their money. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming, if you're a white guy, you're not gonna be accepted the same. Cause I mean, even who's closest to the Brazilians? Like down in Florida, it's the Black Zillions. You know what I'm saying? So probably black people of whatever African descent you might be, that's the closest you would get. If you're white, you kind of the enemy. Look, they live down in the favelas down there, man. White people did horrible things to Brazil.
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility. I feel like just anytime you just see it, like at least that's my opinion of it. Like my from my vantage point is I feel like the way jiu-jitsu is, I feel like it's just segregated. I feel like obviously like it's not just like you just see it. It's like very cliquey. Like the Brazilians obviously stick with the Brazilians, and then there's kind of like everyone else. I feel like like the tourneys and like everything
That's
is just kind of like
in general though. If you ever played a sport before, like let's say football, all the Texas guys stick with the Texas guys, and all the Florida guys stick with the Florida guys, and when people come from different places, they be loyal to the different people from the different places, which is why you have to be careful talking to people. That's what happened with Colby Covington. Is he got too close. The Brazilians they snitched on his injury and turned on him for other Brazilians, and that really pissed him off. That's just how sports are, though. I think in general.
Yeah, probably, but I feel like that may be where you get that whole like Mackenzie Dern, like she didn't stay with I think she kind of, when it came to jiu-jitsu, she kind of clicked up like with the Brazilian side of it, because I believe her father's Brazilian, so I don't know, it got to like that really like that Brazil is just it's hard to I can't, like, I don't have the words to describe it right now, but it's just the way it's like the way I see it is very. It feels like USA versus Brazil, not USA, but it feels like the rest of the world versus Brazil when it comes to that kind of sport. Like, I don't know, like this is gonna be the whitest shit I've probably ever said on this podcast, but you know how like in an NHL All-Star game they used to have, I believe it was like a USA in Canada or a USA versus the rest of the world, and it kind of just feels like that like in jiu-jitsu as a sport, it's kind of like Brazil versus the rest of the world.
Yeah, because that's the roots of it. So back in the day, all the high level practitioners would be Brazilians, and then the low level guys would probably be from everywhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I can't say Brock Lesnar could be making a return. Are you excited or are you not?
He's always exciting. I think it always makes for excitement when he's fighting in the UFC.
You know what I want to see? Brock Lesnar versus Curtis Blades. What do you think of that?
I think that would be a good fight, but I want to see. Actually, I don't even think it would be a good fight because I feel like you just wrestle fuck him for the entire fight. I was gonna say Brock Lesnar versus Francis Ngannou, but that kind of after Stipe just absolutely just bodied him for 5 rounds. I think that it's not going to be as interesting a fight, but I feel like that before we saw Stipe kind of expose Ngannou, I think that would have been the fun fight to make. But I think him versus Blades would definitely be a fun fight. Because
wait a minute, I still like Ngannou versus Lesnar. I think Ngannou wins that.
I think that would be a good fight. I think Blades versus Brock Lesnar would be a good fight. I think even if I would love to see Ngannou and Blades run it back too. I mean, I know we're on the topic of Lesnar, but I think a few of those guys, you can make a few good fights there. I would even like to see Lesnar, if Lesnar fought Ngannou or Blades, and then basically the winner of that got the winner of Stipe and Cormier. I think you got something there. I think there's some decent fights you can make with some of those guys. You got a few different pairings you can make with those 5 fighters or so.
Yes, sir. I like that. Ronda Rousey, I think she's looking pretty good in the WWE. I'm excited about what she's doing at the Elimination Chamber. Slammed Triple H to a table. I'm thinking it's going to be Rousey versus Stephanie McMahon at WrestleMania in the main event, probably. Are you excited when you watch WrestleMania for that reason? I watch every year anyway.
I didn't watch Elimination Chamber. I'm not going to lie, that I am somewhat interested in wrestling because of that. For me, it's like I grew up on old school, like I grew up watching like wrestling on Saturday mornings, like during the Hulk Hogan era and like Ultimate Warrior era, and then kind of stopped watching and then got into wrestling again, like really heavy during the Attitude Era and the NWO WCW era, and then stopped watching it. And then like from time to time, I'll kind of get back into it. Like when Sting was in the WWE, I was tuning into it to see if he like pop up on the Monday Night Raw. I haven't had a chance to really tune in, but I definitely think I will try and tune into WrestleMania to watch Ronda Rousey. I don't know. You could speak to this better than obviously I could. I heard her mic skills need some work, but I heard she's been somewhat decent thus far.
I thought she did I kind of seen what people were talking about, but she's trying to be the humble face. She's the good guy character. She's not supposed to be all boisterous and, emotional. She's doing everything right, I think. I think people are a little too critical of her, but everybody tuned in, obviously, so you're obviously interested in it, so blah, let's see here. Is there any other significant news out here that went down this week? I don't think there's too much other news or gossip available. Let's go ahead and talk about this transgender wrestler, Mack. First, me and my co-host are going to talk about it. Then I'm bringing in Dr. Yared Vasquez, the official medical consultant of the school BlackNegroJItsu, and we're going to talk about it as well. But transgender wrestler Mack, who has transitioned from being a girl to being a boy, but is still competing as a girl in the Texas state wrestling tournament, although is in the process of pursuing has received a scholarship to a college to compete as a boy. So Mack is I don't know, that might all sound confusing. So basically, this is a person that was born a girl, is undergoing testosterone therapy and everything else to become a boy. But since Texas law states that you have to compete in the division where your birth certificate your origin of sex, then although I guess he's like a boy physically now after going through the changes for 2 years, still competing as a girl. Totally unfair. He's probably the most dominant girl fighter, or she is the most dominant girl probably in the country because of how big and strong and ridiculous of an advantage she has. What is Texas doing? They should not have let this happen. They should have made sure that maybe Mack could compete in the boys division, I guess. I know it's weird or whatever, but somebody could probably get hurt like this with him being all jacked up or her being all jacked up on steroids and shit like that, and she's about to get a penis or whatever. Really crazy. And some balls. We talked about that with Vasquez too, but Dave, what do you think of all this? I think it's ridiculous. The world is getting crazy here. What do you think?
I mean, so for me, whatever you want to do with your body's your choice. That's the way I look at it, right? But I do agree with the aspect that he shouldn't have been competing in the females division, because if there is that physical change, right, and there is more testosterone running through the body than there is estrogen, at least to the best of my ability, then obviously the physical attributes make him have the physical attributes of a man as opposed to a female. So there definitely is a physical advantage that he's competing with, right, in the women's division, and somebody could truly get hurt, right? That's why you don't see a mixed match, right? You don't see female UFC fighters fighting male UFC fighters just because the physical makeup of males is the body built, like the build of the body is obviously built bigger and physically stronger because of the testosterone that flows through the body. So there is an unfair advantage. It's kind of like coming into a fight blown up, right? Like not shedding the weight and coming in overweight. You do obviously have some physical advantages over your opponent. And, as far as a fight, right, it should be skill that dictates the difference or the outcome of the fight, not physical advantage. So I don't think, I mean, it probably would have spurred some very large controversy if they didn't let him compete at all. But there's got to be some type of bylaws that are drafted up in this sense, because if you've undergone that surgery and if there is any type of testosterone replacement, then there is physical superiority, and there is a physical advantage. Therefore, he shouldn't have been wrestling in a female division, and he obviously won with that, with that physical advantage. So I just think it's a little absurd that, he's obviously got some type of advantage, and that's the way he competed, and that's the way he won.
Well, sir, we've both given our short opinions on it. Let's get into the consultation of Dr. Yared Vasquez, our medical expert consultant on the issue. I hope you guys will enjoy this interview. We talk about the Cryoshield first. Then we get into this issue with Mack's bag, transgender wrestlers, fighters like Fallon Fox. I hope you guys do enjoy it. Dr. Yared Vasquez, welcome back to the School of BlackNegroJItsu, our official medical consultant. It's great to have you here. We've got a plethora of topics that we're going to talk. Well, not a plethora, I guess just two. But I guess the topic we are talking about has a plethora of different issues on it. So we've got a lot of things to talk about today. I guess before we get into everything else, man, the Cryoshield. Before we get into Mack Beggs, transgender wrestler, and everything, all the controversy with that, what about this Cryoshield, man? What's going on with that? What about your invention? Tell everybody about that.
I got to tell everybody. First of all, I'm excited to be on the School of BlackNegroJItsu for the third time. I think the third time's a charm. I think we're going to drop some great knowledge today on people that is really going to open eyes on that whole transgender issue. But yeah, I have come up with a great invention. Its name is the Cryoshield. We've all seen the corner for MMA fights, boxing. In between rounds, you see folks icing fighters with a Ziploc bag, which is kind of rudimentary. You put sandwiches in there. It's easy and quick. But I had that proverbial moment of there has to be a better way. So I invented a special garment to hold different cooling elements within the garment, and that can be wear like a drape over hoodie to maximize the cooling effect in between rounds and to kind of have the fighter working in a peak condition, even though we have those pre-concussion events during the fight. MMA, boxing, rough sports, but I think the fighters deserve something a little bit better than a sandwich bag filled with ice. So for that reason, I invented the Cryoshield. It's for folks that want to see. Yeah, we're on Facebook. You could just go to Facebook and search Cryoshield at that CRYOSHIELD Cryoshield.
You also got some videos on YouTube too, don't you?
Yeah, yes, sir. Exactly. Yes, sir. We have it on video. So I'll get you the links of all that stuff.
Yeah, I'll put the links in the description here, so you guys can just go check out exactly what we're talking about. Once you see it, you'll understand it's brilliant too. But go ahead, continue on.
Yeah, so pretty much we're partnering up with some great names in the combat industry, but we want feedback. So I want you guys to check out all the media that I have on it. I know Leroy is going to help me get this out. We have great partnerships already, but we're always looking for more partnerships and people to test out the product. I believe we have great promotions with excellent TV value and merchandise, clothing, gloves, but nothing has evolved what the ice bag, the Ziploc bag full with ice does for the fighters. And I think that these great athletes that put their health on the line deserve something better, something cooler looking, and something that's more efficient than a sandwich bag full with ice. And that's what I bring to the table with the Cryoshield. And I'm excited to have your fans and your viewers and your listeners take a look at my product and give me your feedback.
Now, let me ask you a question. What about for like football and sports like that? Would the crowd shield be an effective or effectively applicated post possible concussion or post possible neck or head injury? Would this be something that's good for football teams to have too?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the majority of contact sports, the sports that America likes and the sport that the world likes, involves heavy wear and tear in the body and receiving a big transfer of energy. And undoubtedly, we cannot be disconnected from our head, and the head is a brain floating there in a cerebrospinal fluid and receives a lot of those jolts. So even though in soccer, that's a tremendous example. In soccer, even though you're not getting kicked in the head, but you're hitting the ball with your head and you're clashing bodies, and these guys do feel the same effect. As a matter of fact, there was a study published, I believe, 2 years or 3 years ago in one of the sports medicine journals that said that the rate of female football teams, soccer teams in high school, the concussion rate was kind of similar or very close to similar to football, to American football in high school. So these ladies are also putting their body on the line and getting these symptoms from jolts, energy transfer to the brain, right? I was telling you earlier before we were online that these CrossFit guys are pushing up a whole bunch of weight and letting it fall and putting their body through these motions. All that energy is also transferred to the brain. Now, we think because we don't get punched, we don't get the effects of that energy transfer, but we do. So utilizing ice is one of the few available therapies for concussions right now. I could tell you off the top of my head, that's why cryotherapy and getting in those nitrogen chambers is it's so popular, but it's also expensive. So you want to have something that you can use at home, that you could use in the field, that would keep you cool and keep your head cool, keep your neck cool, your shoulders and back and chest, it's a great alternative. I mean, you pay.
It's even good for more than lawn, huh?
Oh, absolutely. It's not only MMA and boxing. Of course, those are the only sports that I watch. I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm a full fight fan, but. I also, sometimes watch a little bit of rugby, watch a little bit of soccer. So all these high intensity sports, even action sports, skateboarding guys, snowboarders, all these folks, not that they need a lot of cooling, the snowboard guys, but these motocross, you name it, all right? You name a cool looking sport that does great feats with their body, and that all that energy is transferred to the brain. So a happy brain is a cool brain, and recuperating from that damage, it's prime. And also, there's a very important fact that a warm brain does not compute as well, right? So hand-eye coordination as the brain gets warmer gets slower. That's why boxers get sloppier. The quicker, the longer a fight goes, right? It's not the same. Even in the most pinpoint accurate boxers in the world, round number 9, round number 10, it looks sloppier, and it's not that their technique is sloppier. It's that the neurological capacity of their body to really coordinate that perfect shot is diminished by the brain getting warm. There's tons of studies on it, and it's a very well studied fact.
So the warmth of the brain,
absolutely,
takes down performance. So this is a product that we could see really adopted in all physical, or it could be effectively adopted for all physical type activities that include some type of heating up, of your body, essentially, basically.
Oh. Absolutely. Heat has its place in therapy too, right? When we get a muscle injury, heat, that vasodilates and allows more blood to reach certain areas. And in some instances, you want more blood flow. Muscle injuries, you want to, warm up the muscle. You want to get it ready for activity, but also cooling down the head and the neck and that blood that's flowing to your head. It's just also keeping performance, right? We want to optimize we have the UFC Performance Institute. We have, I think training for the majority of sports has changed wildly over the last 10, 15 years. I remember seeing the NBA guys train back in '92 with the Bulls, and I just remember them doing just like regular bench presses. Now you see LeBron doing rope swings and doing a very specific training and doing a little bit of kettlebell and strength and conditioning. So the training has improved wildly, but this issue hasn't. You see it in NBA, you see it in football, you see ice bags, and there's nothing really out there in the market. There's some alternatives, but nothing quite like the Cryoshield. And I might be biased because it's a product I invented, but I think it looks very cool, very appealing to the eye, and also it has space to print out sponsors, and I know that's a huge deal for athletes. So there's a lot of branding opportunities as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll probably just have a Cryoshield episode one of these days in the future. I'm sure it's a pretty big deal. I think it's extraordinarily genius idea, as I see people spilling ice and trying to cool their fighters down all the time in a very primitive way, and this is definitely something that people have needed for a long time. But let's get on to the main event of the evening here. Transgender wrestler Mack begs down in the state of Texas. At first I thought this was a boy that had changed his sex to a girl and won the state championship, but no, this is a girl who apparently is kind of a boy, but has not had a top-off surgery, whatever the hell that is, and won the state championship with the assistance of some low-level testosterone injections, I guess, to help with her transition to being a male, which she is not fully a male yet. Now, this is completely confusing, very hard to keep up with. Now let's talk about this. Now, Mack Beggs is not yet a full boy, but how could a girl possibly become a boy? Now, I can see how if you were a boy, you could chop off your penis and you could become a girl. But how could you be a girl and have any surgery to alter you into a male? How is that possible, Mr. Doctor?
Oh, absolutely. The process, a lot of people think that this is a process that's very long, and the reality is that, folks, nowadays, this is a social issue that's very common, and it takes only 2 years of testosterone therapy to change her whole body into the body of a male. And then they have surgery that's called phalloplasty, which is they fashion a penis, right, a penis-like organ for them out of their clitoral hood and these muscle, these tissues. So they're basically fashioning a small male genitalia that will be enhanced.
How small is this? Is it like?
It all depends. I mean, it's all. We have females do have tissue that is analogous to like our cavernous body, and like at some point in the embryonic development, we're all females, right? It's just the expression of different hormones during development that changes us into males at some point. So we branch out. It's like a crossroads where that fetus is either male or female. That's why we wait some time to get the sex of the body. I think that occurs maybe we're talking about maybe 6 to 8 weeks into the process, and then is when the OBGYN says, let's check the sex out, let's do the ultrasound. But yeah, it's very similar. It varies wildly from person to person. I mean, let's say there's a lot of infamous pictures out there of females that are very, very strong on the weigh-ins, and people, people on the internet, they're very morbid and they're very curious. So sometimes they'll see, a female fighter that has her bikini on and has, a large protuberance there, and they're like, well, is this a man? No, it's that usually when there's an increased expression of testosterone in the females, you have a masculinization of the genitalia. So the clitoris will actually grow.
Now
will
wait a
actually
minute.
get
Now,
bigger. So with this treatment,
now I know that when people do steroids or testosterone, that happens. But can that just happen from working out too, or?
it depends. I mean, there are people that naturally will. I mean, it's like in males, it's the same thing. Like different sizes, different bodies. The colors of the rainbow. But what's static here, what doesn't change, is that with exogenous testosterone, or stimulating the testosterone production with other, with heavy lifting exercises, because women do have some testosterone produced in the ovaries, in the stroma of the ovaries, and in the adrenal glands. They have some DHEA, dihydroepiandrosterone. They can get masculinized, right? To a lower level. That's why you see a female. That's why females, when they're hard in the gym doing CrossFit, most of these athletes will have their menstrual periods will be shorter. Sometimes they'll be even absent because of the stimulation of testosterone. But for a young lady like this one to transform into a boy, into a transgender man, will take only 2 years. So in 2 years, she'll have different muscle density and different cortical bone structure. Her facial features will change, voice will deepen, and even aggressive behavior will be increased in this individual that undergoes this hormonal treatment.
Now, now we've seen this in some athletes. I know China, who is a professional wrestler. I remember her clitoris was pretty large. She made some sex tapes, and that was very well exhibited. Also, Chris Cyborg. I love Chris Cyborg. I love China too. I met her in person. Sweet lady when she was alive. Cyborg as well. We've seen some trade. I think we've seen some changes in her facial structure, the deepening of her voice, I believe, after all those years. So if you want some references for that, I guess those are two people. But so the changes would happen in a younger female much quicker than they'd happen with older females like the aforementioned.
Absolutely. Their hormonal axis will be even more welcoming to the change. And this was a gal that was an athlete before, so her hormonal axis is going to be a lot more active than, let's say, you're just a regular, female that doesn't have a lot of physical activity. She has the added stimulus of wrestling practices while she's taking exogenous testosterone, which, it doesn't matter at what level. It doesn't matter. People might try to simplify it and say, it's just low-level testosterone therapy. Well, there's no such thing as low-level testosterone therapy for a female, right? They have precursors. All their androgens are precursors, and the production is so small, and it's usually never having DHT, dihydrotestosterone. And with the testosterone, with the added exogenous testosterone, they're going to have DHT, a molecule that's never in the female body in that level. 100 micrograms for me or for you, or let's say Vitor Belfort. He was on testosterone replacement. Remember when there was exemption?
Yes, I remember when there was a TRT exemption.
Remember, it was extension, and they would just bring them to, I think it was a 4-to-1 testosterone to epitestosterone ratio. So it was a conversion of testosterone, right? So you're putting in an amount of testosterone, and they allowed you to have maybe 4 times the normal dose. And we all saw the difference of his body.
Yeah.
Coordination, fatigue, aggressive behavior. I mean, he was testosterone.
Possibly the greatest fighter of all time.
God damn it. TRT Vitor, first of all, had the best haircuts.
Yes.
Second of all, just aggressiveness and just dynamic. So a lot of times we don't take into consideration the behavior changes that testosterone gives you, that boldness to try those moves, and that aggressiveness, which it does cause. Testosterone does cause changes. When I start males with hypogonadism, right? So low T, These 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds with low testosterone, low sex drive. They come in, doctor, I want to have testosterone. We check. Testosterone is low. We start treatment. There's disclaimers. I have to say, hey, you might have some mood changes. Report them to me. Let's talk about them. And it could be a reason to discontinue the treatment altogether, right? Because we don't want a 50-year-old road raging out there in the world. So imagine a sport like wrestling. If this girl was in the chess team, we wouldn't be having this conversation, right? But she's in a sport where aggressiveness pays off, right? You want to be an aggressive wrestler, and it'll give you the edge, right? So we don't even know how much years
of testosterone that she's getting.
Not even.
How much would that be? How much testosterone does she have in comparison to a regular female?
Oh my God, she probably has about 50-60% more testosterone than any females. I mean, we're talking about 100 micrograms. You and I are not producing 100 micrograms right now on the natty, right? Naturally, we're not producing. I'm 40, so I'm definitely not producing that. So she's getting what me or you produce in around a month in a single injection, right? Testicles produce very little testosterone. They produce a lot when we're 15 to 18 years old. They're just a factor of aggressiveness and libido. But getting it exogenous, you're getting it directly injected into your bloodstream, and that changes every muscle density, the capacity. I mean, steroid hormones traverse. That's the way they work. Is they go right through the cell membrane and they go right into the mitochondria, which is the energy, factory in the cells, and they stimulate growth. You could recuperate quicker. You could go through 2-a-days quicker. So she's going into, and again, if she's not doing wrestling, she's still gonna get, more cut, more muscle density, and more cortical bone. Right? Cortical bone means the cortex of the bone. Think about, when you think about the bone as a hollow stick, you get the bone marrow. When we measure bone density, we measure everything, right? Everything that has to do with the bone, the density of calcium in the bone. But that cortical bone is what gets hard when you're kicking in Muay Thai, you're kicking sticks and stuff. The covering of the bone, it's denser. So she's getting instantly bones that the cortex is stronger. She's having tremendous muscle growth. You could have all those girls in there. They could be taking protein every day, all day. They could be taking creatinine, and they will not catch up to her ever. It's a blatant, disbalance of the league.
Very interesting. All right, go to backtrack a little bit though. So you say this fake penis that they make that's made out of clitoral tissue. Can it get hard and stuff like that, or
absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. In some instances, I mean, maybe 3 to 4 inches. I mean, it's just depending on the surgeon, and this surgery has evolved over many years of trial and error.
You don't get any
they have it
though.
down to a science.
You don't get any.
I think they do. They could have implants. They could. It all depends what their budget is. I mean, let's say if somebody
you get testicle implants at this point.
You could get, man. If you have the money, you absolutely can. I mean, if you have a budget like, let's say, Caitlyn Jenner, we've all seen how her surgeries have gone. You can have hair implants. She could have a full beard in 2-3 years. She's gonna look like a man 100%. And they remove the breast tissue. Mm-hmm. They remove the breast tissue. They remove the uterus, because with those changes, it's more prone to have, there have been some reported uterine cancers and stuff. And there's a lot of people that say that no, it's, and you can find some literature that yes, after that transition is completely made, and she's a full transgender man. There's a change with the years. There's going to be a change in bone density, and that's true. That's true. Her bones are going to be a little bit more brittle years down the line. But right now, while she's transitioning, she's a well-oiled machine.
Yeah,
and nobody can stop her. Yeah.
Now in Texas, why is it that they're not letting her she's gonna have these changes? Why they let her compete as a girl? They say it's because if you're a girl on your birth certificate, then you have to be a girl in competition. That provides for a very unfair advantage here, as she should undoubtedly, I guess, be wrestling in the boys division at this point. Why would the state allow something like? Do other states allow for that?
It's I think other states definitely, depending. I mean, there's really conservative states and really progressive states. I think it's weird that Texas is doing it, but I think that this has a lot to do with the parents seeking kind of a forum, more attention. They've been very vocal and doing interviews and being out there in the media. So if this was a very low-key thing, we wouldn't even be hearing or talking about it. But I think it's just with the current state of social media and news and proactiveness, they want to make this a social issue. They want her. And I think I think the girl might not be, she might just want to transition into a boy and wrestle with the boys. But this has become a real issue. So in my eyes, if she wants to be a boy, bless her heart, let's help her transition and let her have her days within the wrestling team with the boys. I mean, I think she would enjoy it more. I think she would feel more established and happier as an individual. It's about each other's happiness, right? I'm not saying don't transition, but I am saying just let her. I think she would be tremendously happy, even if she can't win. I think she would be happier. But then if she does want to wrestle with the females, then we're talking about it's an unfair advantage, and those trophies are not going to have an advantage, because you could go and just say I want to transition, and then what's going to stop every girl to say I just want to transition for a year, I have a big tournament, they get testosterone, they do it, then they say what, I don't think I'm going to be a boy. And they just did it for sport. We're going to see that pop up eventually.
Well,
we're going to see that happen.
I don't know about NCAA though. Is testosterone?
Yeah.
Is testosterone?
Oh, definitely NCAA now.
Okay, because I don't know.
Absolutely.
Do they test for like testosterone levels and stuff in NCAA? Now, at one time I was an NCAA athlete. I don't even remember.
Do you remember ever testing? We never hear any athlete popping.
No, I dropped some pee a couple times for like, what the fuck? It wasn't for street drugs though, so I don't know what the fuck they were. I forget what the NCAA test is garbage, and I mean those pee tests are trash. How would you test for testosterone levels? Could you do that through the urine?
You could do that through the blood a lot better, but yeah, you could get, when you test in the urine, you test for metabolites. It's different. Testosterone that is taken exogenously is made from yams, so they can detect it easily. And the byproducts, more than anything, the byproducts, the metabolites you could test in the urine for different steroids. But the blood testing is that's why USADA is so effective, right? They test and they see all the levels of hormones and the ratios of hormones. So they have it down to science, but that testing is very expensive. The NCAA does have, a drug testing program, but I believe it's not as thorough as WADA or as USADA. And these tests are thousands of dollars, and we know the NCAA.
Oh, yeah, WADA and USADA is different. There's no blood testing or nothing like that. Yeah, WADA and USADA, man, that's like fucking... Man, there's some Gestapo tactics going on there, man. They crazy. But yeah, I didn't even understand what was going on here till I really read into the article here. I don't even think she's undefeated though. I think she's lost like 9 times still. So I guess she's still a girl.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's just a question of we see it on Facebook and we see it in the comments. And a lot of people deny the changes. It does change the thing. Maybe she gets beat. We saw Fallon Fox, that transgender male, female to male fighter that, she was in the news a couple of years ago. I think she's kind of
Fallon Fox
fell
wasn't
out of
any
the
good,
radar.
man. Fallon Fox lost to Ashley Evans Smith.
Yeah, Ashley Ann Smith whooped that ass. And
Oh
but
my God.
hey, Ashley Evans Smith, she's a bad girl. She's
Pretty
she's a
big
scrapper.
too. Yeah, she's pretty big too, man. Fallon should be ashamed of himself. I mean, is Fallon? Did they disallow him from fighting? He hadn't fought in like.
No, I think that he's doing some other stuff, being more involved in transgender like media stuff and more of a social
Okay.
kind of thing. Yeah, I don't think he was in it
Was he fighting
in the
down in
sports
Florida?
for.
Where was he fighting in? What state was he
Yeah,
fighting
yeah.
in?
I think it was here in Florida. I think
Yeah.
here in Florida before I moved to Florida. But man, yeah. I think some individuals just want that attention. I think Fallon was that. She went back and forth with Joe Rogan. In what other way this individual would have been able to access Joe or access any of the other big media outlets, if not like this?
Now, let me ask you a question here. Was Fallon a fully transitioned female, or did he still have balls and a penis?
I think, yeah, I believe, if I read right, I read some articles yesterday. I think he was a fully transitioned and went through the phalloplasty. And all of you that kind of curious about this, I mean, I stimulate that idea. Go to YouTube, search for phalloplasty. That's PHALLOPLASTY, phalloplasty. Phallo as in phallus, PHALLUS, phalloplasty, and you could see that surgery from beginning to end. And you could see the end product and everything, and there's a lot of information out there. So it is. It's really interesting, man. It's just
Now,
being involved in medicine. It's interesting to me.
now, let me ask you another question. Now, if you were transitioning from a male to a female or whatever,
I'd be an ugly woman.
oh, but how does that affect your bone density and strength and stuff? Would you be as strong as you were when you were a natural man, or would you lose
Oh,
things?
you would definitely lose. You would definitely lose from man to female. You would definitely lose. You have feminization of your body. Your features, your facial features would soften. Your facial hair would get coarse. Your voice would get higher. Bone density would definitely be affected by estrogen because we're blocking, and not so much. Right, in females we measure that testosterone effect, but in males it's the testosterone blockers, the name escapes me right now, the anti-androgenic medication that you would have to take. You have to take anastrozole, and you have to take a lot of blockers, and those testosterone blockers would take away the positive effects of testosterone in the male body. So there's a lot of problems, a lot of issues. I've tended to male to female transitioned patients, and there's some issues. Of course, they're happy psychologically. God bless them. But there's some issues with health. With to give you an example, urinary tract health. Right, with transitioning from a male to a female, there's the removal of the penis, the urethra, so you're shortening the urethra. Of course, you're fashioning the muscles that control urinary tract flow, like in a female, in a female urinary tract. So you're being more prone to infections. So there's absolutely a whole bunch of issues, and aging male that has transitioned into a female would definitely have some big issues with bone density and probably hip fractures and the issues of aging postmenopausal women.
So as you get older, you would so when would you start dealing with the postmenopausal stuff? Like at what age do you think?
I mean, it's very individual, but usually we see this transition occurring in males in their mid-20s, right? In California, it's an issue that they're beginning to transition. Kids in their younger and younger, And as we see those kids age, I think they'll be suffering these effects from the anti-androgenic medication. I mean, and once you have your testicles removed, that's it. You don't have to take any more blockers. But to keep up your female characteristics, you do have to take exogenous estrogen. So I think around the same age, 40s, mid 40s, we could see and it's a brand new science, right?
Yeah,
in
it's
10 to 20
so
years from now,
nobody even knows what people will look like in like 10 to 20 years, right?
And oh, absolutely. I myself, I didn't train for this in med school. And when you go out there in the field, in the world, and when you're seeing these patients, you're definitely seeing it, and you're like, oh, wow, come back tomorrow. Let me read up a little bit. I'm full disclosure with my patients. If I don't know what I'm talking about, I'll say, let's do some testing. See you. Let's see you in a week, and I'll try to immerse myself in that world and in that new protocols and theory. But yeah, in 20 years from now, it's going to be a big issue. Right? There's congresses right now for endocrinologists to deal with male to transgender issues, both male to female and female to male.
That is extraordinarily interesting. So this could end up being disastrous for the Mack Biggs and the Fallon Foxes of the world. We don't know yet, because this is the first generation to ever deal with these challenges, right? Or ever do this, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and there's looking back years ago, there was some use of exogenous hormones, but it was usually kind of black market stuff. And there was usually Brazil was big for reassignment surgeries. Brazilian surgeons have been on the forefront of these type of procedures. But I think it's just something. Oh yeah, Brazil, South America, all the procedures. Remember that we're very tightly regulated by the AMA, the American Medical Association, and the American Medical Association. It's changing, but it's been really conservative, right? Since its beginning, like medicine in the United States is very conservative, very straightforward. It's recently only kind of embracing these alternate lifestyles and looking for their health, right? I can foresee that in the next 10 to 20 years, we'll have a specialty only to deal with transgender issues. So there might be a subspecialty of endocrinology just targeted for transgender individuals. That would be a great thing, because if we have a lot of individuals from this specific group, we need somebody to take care of them, right? And we need somebody that knows very specifically how to do it. Because we have OBGYNs for females and we have urologists for males, but who trains for who? That's a gray zone in there. So we need a special training for different docs to do this, and I think it's a great thing, right? To each their own, and we need to cater to them and treat them. But when it comes down to sport, the bottom line is more muscle, more capacity to torque, a double leg takedown, more capacity to snap down your head. Yeah. It's an advantage. It's as clear as clear as
advantage. It's clear. It's obvious. Yeah, I think the state of Texas probably should. They need to change that, because somebody could really get hurt and snapped up like this, man. You got these superheroes going around with big muscles and stuff and beating up on these girls. It's not a good look there. So very interesting. It'll be very interesting to see if this will end up being disastrous for these young ladies and men in their futures 10, 20 years from now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very interesting topic. I'm glad I didn't just get to talk to that by my, just off my own opinions. I got an expert here. That's why we always bring you in on medical issues. I think that does it for today, Dr. Vasquez. You don't have any shout-outs?
Absolutely. I have a shout-out to Michael Quinones, my buddy Michael Quinones, El Capo.
Michelle.
Michelle. Oh, man, he's gonna beat me up now. I said his name wrong.
Mitchell. I'm sorry, Mitchell.
Mitchell Quinones. Oh man, he's gonna beat me up twice. I gotta go down there and train. I told him I was gonna go down there and train and hang out for a little while. No man, I want to give a shout out to the whole team down there. I think it's American. Is it American Top Team down there? Yeah.
It's American
ATT. To Michelle right down there. Looking forward to his next fight. And man, just a shout out to your fans and everybody that's a fan of the Octagon Doctor. Keep looking at my stuff online. You know, I'm on Twitter at Dr. Yared, DRYARED, and on Instagram as Octagon Doctor, and Facebook as well. Just keep your eye peeled, and if you have comments from this podcast or doubts, man, I love helping fighters. I love helping fighters with health issues. If you need something, my inbox is open to all amateur fighters, and I love to help them. And I'm excited to announce that I'm doing my first fight show here in Florida in May in West Palm Beach. The name of the promotion escapes me right now, but yeah, we're starting the takeover of Florida pretty soon, and ringside aspect. No, I'm going to start doing fights down here as a ringside doctor.
Oh, I thought you already did. You already a ringside physician.
Yeah, I am, but I'm doing it mostly in Iowa, Midwest. Yeah.
Oh, so you said
so Florida. I'm starting in Florida to do the shows consistently, and we're going to be in talks with the athletic commission down here. So I'm excited about that. And, of course, the Cryoshield.
Oh, of course. Well, Dr. Vasquez, stay on the line. Thank you for coming to the School of BlackNegroJItsu today. And, of course, we'll have you back in the future. You're our official medical consultant. So, yeah, thanks a lot.
Awesome.
That does it for the School of BlackNegroJItsu this week. I'm your host, LaRoss Steffens, signing off here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. The MMA Edge Fantasy Podcast, Black Market Picks, and other offerings will be back later this week. And as soon as we have some more ballin'-ass content, we'll randomly be back with another episode of School of BlackNegroJItsu. The way you can know it's coming out, though, hit subscribe on all the different platforms, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, whatever you're on, and that'll do it. All right, guys. Peace out.